I want to introduce another person for whom the force is powerful today. This is the Reverend Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner. I'm going to give her Reverend tonight because she is the founder and CEO of the Skinner Leadership Institute. She is the co-convener of Faiths United to Save Democracy, a nonpartisan, multi-faith, multi-race, intergenerational 10-state voter protection and mobilization campaign. Dr. William Skinner regularly works with interfaith leaders on issues like healthcare, criminal justice reform, voting rights. She's the co-founder of a group that helps millennials understand their roles and responsibility. She's the author of I Prayed, and Now What? And also Leadership Led by God, a prayer journal and guide. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and I'm so appreciative of the way that she has organized, particularly the Black church, in order to help it recognize its civic responsibility. Dr. William Skinner, I'm so pleased to turn over the floor to you.
Well, thank you, Reverend Dr. Sadler. I guess we're in a mutual admiration society because I'm also your big fan. But let me thank my new partner in ministry, the amazing Andrea Miller, for this invitation to share in this Gala. So important. I'm so glad the money's being raised because this organization is killing it on voter mobilization and getting people to be clear about their voting rights. So we at Faith United to Save Democracy share so many of your goals and your aspirations. We are a nonpartisan, multiracial, multi-faith, multi-generation voter protection campaign, and we're in many of your states in Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, as well as Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. But we also share with Andrea Miller and the team at the Center for Common Ground a belief that everyone is created in the image of God and deserve to vote in free, fair, and safe election. Let me say tonight that I believe that there's a popular belief that the most serious danger we face is those who want to overturn democracy and the precious freedoms we share. I want to add to that danger apathy, or the lack of feeling or emotions concerning civic engagement that keeps people completely out of the voting process. It is dangerous because it helps to produce leaders who are totally indifferent, as we have seen, to human suffering. And even though policies are enacted to make those changes, I agree with Edmund Burke that evil thrives when good people do absolutely nothing. And we don't have to look any further than the 2016 election at examples of what unregistered, apathetic, unengaged voters can do to change an election. Just look at Texas. The margin of victory for former President Trump was 200,000, but there were 750,000 unregistered Black voters. In Michigan, a must-win state, the margin was just 10,700 votes, but there were 200,000 unregistered Black voters. Pennsylvania, another must-win state, the margin of victory was 44,000, but there were 227,000 unregistered Black voters. Florida and Georgia were similar. And I'm sure the Latino population data would be not that different. So had these communities been reached, we would have had different results, no question about it. Now, we know that there are election laws that always change, and there's so many anti-voting laws. But I know that the Center for Common Ground and Faith United to Save Democracy working together can fight both anti-voting laws and apathy. We have to fight both. We can't just ignore unengaged voters. We are already reaching the engaged. We are helping people to vote easy, to vote often, to check their status, as was just stated. But if we would decrease the unregistered population and then work on turnout, we would be creating even more change, the kind that we're looking for. And I believe the change starts with our young people. That's why I work with young people all the time, because they are the change more often than not that we are looking for. Look at this data from the Harvard Gazette about the Gen Z voters 18 to 29. And this was before Kamala Harris was announced as the Democratic candidate. There were 28% is the same number both for the undecided and unengaged voters and for committed Democratic voters. But look at the undecided or unengaged voters. 28% of them are undecided. 22% are registered, but about 12% said they don't even care enough to vote. So the main issue that we have got to look at is younger Black voters and young Hispanic voters. Black voters mostly say they're concerned about the housing crisis, inflation, healthcare, and of course, Gaza. We cannot ignore that. We have to talk to them. We have to find out what kind of world they would like to see, and then help them to understand they can't get there by not voting. We also know we have so many other challenges: the rise of political violence, those who don't want to see a Black woman in the White House, those who would go to any lengths to make voting harder. But we cannot let this deter us. Our people historically have been pushed away by voter intimidation, violence, and oppression. But by ignoring voter apathy, in addition to the other problems, we allow the enemy of constitutional democracy to win and to keep us out of spaces we know we have a right to be in. We are a very resilient community, but we cannot be indifferent to any sector of our society.
I think you're muted.
It is much easier to focus on the already motivated. You can mobilize and organize them quite simply if you just have the resources. But I think that we would need to go a step further. Why? Because the population of Gen Z and millennials is twice that of baby boomers. So even if every baby boomer voted, if every single one voted, we still would not be able to make it with young people sitting out this election. Folk, we can't afford to do that. But we know how to make change. We've done it before. We got a Black man in the White House, voting rights. We got HBC support, rural broadband, and the like. We can do it. We know that. But the issue is that if we want to achieve the results we want, we have to do the hard thing. And the hard thing is to go where people feel that the society doesn't work for them. If you look at that number of unregistered and voters who have, like, quote, turned off and not voted in 2 or 3 elections, overwhelmingly, they are not only young, but they're lower income. That's not an easy population either if you're disconnected. So we have to, again, and I think Andrea Miller is the person that I'm so happy to be working with, because we ain't scared. We will go wherever the need is and get it done, because we know that is the difference we have to make. So we at Faith United to Save Democracy are so grateful for this partnership with the Center for Common Ground. And we invite all of you who are interested to sign up for our 90-minute whole chaplain and peacekeeper training that starts tomorrow night, 7 to 8:30, 90 minutes. And you will find out how exactly you go and protect elderly, disabled, returning citizens, young people, people with military questions, those who are voting for the first time. They need our help. People are intimidated about going to the polls if they haven't been there. If this is not your experience, it's very intimidating. So we need people out there. It's not enough to turn people out if we don't protect them at the polls. So I want to encourage you to sign up at turnoutsunday.com. That is turnoutsunday.com to be a poll chaplain and a peacekeeper. That's August 12th, 26th. 5 more lessons. We've done 2, 5 more classes, September 9, 16, and 30. You don't have to be ordained. Now we have ordained clergy in collars, Reverend Sadler, because we want to create a calm, moral environment. But we will take anybody who's willing to serve. We have labor union leaders and others who are helping us. So whether or not you want to serve in our 10 states, it doesn't matter. If you want to serve anywhere, I will suggest to you that you have to take this process all the way to the end. You don't start a fight that you can't finish. So you have got to not only organize people to get the vote out, then you've got to be there to make sure they can vote. Then you got to organize people to go make sure the votes are counted. You got to then go make sure they're certified. And then after they're certified, you got to make sure they're right. That whoever is supposed to be the president is actually there for January, and so that we have the change. In other words, you got to all the way. And if America becomes as violent as some say, we got to have pole chaplain peacekeepers for prayer vigils. We've got to have people in non-violent protests to make sure this country does not fall apart at the seams. No matter where you plan to serve, again, go to turnoutsunday.com and we are there for you. Together we can do this. We have done this before. We're not afraid of a fight, but we have to do it together. We have to let our light shine so that people can see the good works of our God. We have to find out and understand that God does not work on everybody's side. He's on the side of the left out and the locked out. That's what the good book said. He's on the side of those who are in despair, those who've been left on the side of the road. He's there when you talk to your neighbor about voting status. He's there to support those in long lines who are discouraged. He's there to protect those who are seeking to turn the country back to dark days when only white men with power, with property could vote. And he's there when the ballots are cast for leaders who believe that all lives matter. Thank you, and God bless you.